Okay, welcome to the Evening Edit. I'm Elizabeth McDonald. President Trump will speak in just a few hours about uniting America. First Lady Melania Trump will appear. We've got more on the most remarkable comeback in U.S. history in just a second. But first, we want to deal with this list. Let's welcome to the show from Senate Homeland Security, Senator Roger Marshall. Senator, great to see you again. Can you please tell us more about this extraordinary scene at the RNC last night, where 4 U.S. senators, Senators Blackburn, Lankford, Barrasso, and Kramer, confronted the head of the Secret Service? What do they want to know about the security lapses involving the attempted Trump assassination?
Right. So I was just with Senator Barrasso, who's usually one of the most calm, collected people you'll know, a physician, an orthopedic surgeon. And last night's about as intense as I've seen him. We had just gotten off an hour-long conference call with the Secret Service where they told us nothing. They basically spent an hour saying nothing. And look, someone's got to be held accountable here. How in the world did they let the known suspect be noticed an hour before the shooting? He had some type of a rangefinder with him. Very few good purposes for a rangefinder there in those type of circumstances. Look, what we're uncovering is that there is a cultural issue within the Secret Service. Half of the Secret Service officers have quit over the past year. Something else more is going on there than just this one incident. And, you know, thanks to a miracle of God, President Trump's still alive.
Yeah, President Trump, there's footage coming, and he's saying he appreciates God even more, that it's changed his outlook on life. Let's show the viewer this Washington Post report, and then the timeline of what happened. It's brutal. It's terrifying. First, this. The Washington Post reports local police at the rally warned the Secret Service they did not have the manpower to secure the building where the shooter opened fire on the rooftop. What do you make of that detail?
Well, I think the plot just thickens. You think about the Secret Service, they have 8,000 employees, 8,000 officers to protect some 33 people. I think this is where the management issue, the cultural issue, that this was obviously not a priority for the Secret Service, to not detail 2 or 3, if not 10 more people. How in the world did they let this person get a rifle on top of that building without being noticed? Look, there's a complete failure within the Secret Service. I think this goes back to when they became part of DHS, where they're working for a secretary that's been impeached. We have no confidence in them at this point in time, and all we see them doing is running from the truth.
Okay, law enforcement says Crooks hid the weapon in advance. He did not walk in with the gun. It does not yet know where he hid the weapon. I mean, the timeline shows Secret Service spotted the Trump rally shooter on the roof 20 minutes before he opened fire. They knew the building was not secured. They were aware of a threat 10 minutes prior to the shooting, but still, President Trump took the stage. How does that happen?
Yeah, of course, I don't have a good explanation for you. I think this is the cultural breakdown. This is the protocol breakdown that we're seeing. When you have a Secret Service so focused on DEI, they forget what their real mission is. And that being said, I want to compliment and thank God for the wonderful Secret Service officers that we do have. I think that they were following order, they were following protocol, but something broke down somewhere, and it has to be just a huge cultural collapse of the whole system. That's why we'll need a complete investigation. And the sooner they start coming clean with everything they know, the better chance of avoiding all the hypotheticals that we're hearing out there.
So the president's big night tonight, he's going to give the keynote address. What will you be looking for and watching for? I mean, let's go through it. They wanted to impeach him before he sat down in the Oval Office. They were moving to an impeachment plans in 2016. A dozen impeachment resolutions. Nancy Pelosi launches, and 14 House Democrat-led committees, 84 targets to go after Trump, including on Stormy Daniels, including on his business and his tax returns. That was 2018. Then they leaked his tax returns were leaked. They tried to knock him off of state ballots and prosecute him, bankrupt him, jail him, and then an attempted assassination. This is probably the most extraordinary comeback in U.S. history. What do you think?
You know, it has to be. And I think, you know, Saturday night changed everything, that there was a providential moment where an angel somehow moved President Trump's head just far enough so that the bullet would not do any more damage than it did. I expect President Trump to be very much reflecting on the moment. I talked to him Monday morning, and he was certainly very calm, reflective of what was happening. I think that when he sits on that stage tonight, all this is going to come home. All these issues that you've talked about, the weaponization of the Justice Department, and somehow he's going to get through that, and he's going to talk about a message of unity. I think that President Trump goes way beyond just reaching out to Republicans. I think he's going to be reaching out to patriots across America. Are we ready to turn this country back in the right direction? Some 12 of the last 16 years, this country is going in the wrong direction. And President Trump, it's his time to step forward and lead this country to secure our borders, very simply secure our borders, and to bring down the cost of gas and groceries.
And inflation, that's right. Senator Marshall, great to have you back on. It's good to see you.